Chapter 2b, Enchanted Dominion.
With this power, you can claim this world as your own.
So declared this old man who called himself Xehanort. Within her enchanted castle, Maleficent laughed heartily. Her intuition was correct. This tiny little world was not all the cosmos had to offer. 7 pure lights, you say? Maleficent gazed at the beautiful sleeping princess on the bed.
Yes, and a keyblade, all yours for the taking. But I have no intention of doing your bidding. Still, this does appear to align with my own interests. I shall cooperate with you for now. You have my thanks.
As Master Xehanort made his exit, Maleficent turned her attention to another in the corner of the room.
And you? Are you a friend of this man?
A lone boy appeared in the shadow of a curtain. Ventus.
A friend? What do you mean by that? What about you? Are you a friend of his?
Ventus countered Maleficent's query with his own.
I suppose I could call him an ally with a common goal. Then sure, I guess I'm the same.
Ventus smirked.
Have fun with those 3,
he told her before leaving the room. She'd only just become the ruler of this world. Sensing the day approaching when she would rule over all worlds, Maleficent erupted into laughter. This was the land steeped in magic, the Enchanted Dominion. Terra reflected on what had happened before he visited the dwarf woodlands. The first place he had touched down after leaving the land of departure was a tranquil forest overlooking a beautiful lake. Approaching the edge of the water, he looked up at the sky. The sunlight was hazy, and silence hung heavy over him. In fact, he couldn't even sense the presence of anything living in this too quiet world. Were there any worlds that were truly lifeless? But the air shimmered with negativity, and when he whirled around, a horde of unversed had appeared. Summoning his keyblade, Terra charged into the midst of the throng. This many wouldn't be a problem for him. Perhaps frightened by Terra's ferocity, one unversed fled toward the edge of the forest.
No, you don't!
Terra was crashing through the woods after it when he suddenly arrived at a path, and he could see a gigantic castle ahead. A long stone bridge stretched toward the keep, almost beckoning him. After dealing the finishing blow to the straggler, Terra lifted his eyes to the enormous citadel. He still didn't see any people, though, until he looked down and spied someone in a black cloak with a long staff in hand, similarly observing the castle. The figure turned around slowly at Terra's approach. Wrapped in robes of black and purple, the woman had an odd ambience hanging about her. Who was she?
What's this? Why aren't you asleep, boy? That fool Flora cast a spell to put everyone in this castle into a deep, deep slumber.
Who are you? He asked.
Why, I am Maleficent, replied the woman lightly. As all who dwell in this kingdom would know. Now you must reciprocate the introduction. Who are you?
I'm Terra. What do you know about those monsters, the ones who attacked me? Terra questioned. He still didn't know who she was. It was possible the Unversed had appeared in this world long before they had been discovered.
Now why would I give thought to creatures so base, so inconsequential?
They are base, that's for sure, he agreed, walking closer to Maleficent. If she did not care for the Unversed, then the enemy of an enemy was a friend. In short, Maleficent was, at least for now, no foe of his.
Anyway, I'm looking for someone. Ever heard of a man named Xehanort? That name is not familiar to me. He is an outsider, like yourself.
Terra regarded Maleficent wordlessly. Understanding that she would not receive an answer, Maleficent turned her back to Terra and then responded.
Oh, but wait. I do remember someone leaving the castle.
Tell me, what was he doing there? An unfamiliar man? Master Xehanort?
I couldn't say. I can only be certain that he was not from this kingdom. If you're curious, go see the castle for yourself. There, the entrance is past the bridge.
Thanks. Giving her a quick bow, Terra ran off in the direction of the citadel. Maleficent called out to his back.
Perhaps he did speak about imprisoning the light. That could be so many things. Could he have meant Princess Aurora?
Aurora. Terra mused without turning around, then dashed off again. Behind him, Maleficent vanished in a shroud of green flame. Terra hurried through the great hall and deeper inside. Though he found no traces of any people within it, there were plenty of unversed in their place. What was going on with this world? As he looked down at the unversed, Terra discovered a sealed room near the end of the passage on the second floor. A keyblade could remove such a seal. His keyblade emitted a glow when he held it up, unlocking the door. He stepped into the chamber to find what looked like someone's bedroom. A woman lay asleep atop a large, canopied bed. Was she Princess Aurora? Terra looked at the girl breathing softly in her sleep. He sensed a great light within her. "This feels so familiar," Terra muttered. He knew the warmth of light well. It was the feeling he'd learned about for so long during his training to become a Keyblade Master. However, this was the first time he had ever felt it so strongly. Just then, he realized someone was behind him and turned around. It was Maleficent. "Her heart is filled with light, not the slightest touch of darkness. Just the kind of heart I need," she stated, walking up alongside Terra. "For what?" Terra asked Maleficent. "A heart of pure light. In other words, she was one of the princesses of heart that Master Ericus had mentioned." "Imagine with me the most glorious of futures, 7 of the purest hearts, each overflowing with light. When brought together, they grant the power to rule all worlds." "What do you mean?" He didn't quite understand what Maleficent was getting at. She wanted to collect hearts? How? "Why, that key you hold. The Keyblade, is it called?" Someone from another world knew about Keyblades? Was that possible? Even if she was a special case, she still knew too much. "Where did you learn that name?" Terra summoned his Keyblade and readied it. "That trinket is the only way to obtain the hearts." Could this woman have met the Master? "No more games. Where is Master Xehanort?" Despite Terra's stern expression, Maleficent chuckled confidently. "Impudence will get you nowhere, child. If you wish to learn more, you must retrieve the heart of Aurora." Maleficent flung back her cloak in a burst of green flame. "And why would I ever want to do that?" "It's not a matter of why, but of will. In your heart, there is darkness just waiting to be awakened." Maleficent's mouth twisted into a grin. She was speaking as if she had been present for his Mark of Mastery exam not so long ago. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Perhaps not yet." A powerful glow arose from the staff Maleficent held, and it eventually engulfed Terra in a suffocating wave. "But I have power over sleep, and I can awaken what's inside you. Then you will be free to be who you truly are." Maleficent's words echoed through his head like an incantation. Darkness enfolded his world. Within it stood Master Ericus. "Remember that darkness lurks in every heart. Darkness is our foe. Would that we could be rid of it. You must destroy it. Push the darkness down. Give it no quarter in your heart." Terra had heard him say these things over and over during his days of training. How could he fail to suppress the darkness after so much instruction? What had he done wrong? Why had he come to this? Somewhere through his hazy consciousness, Terra got the feeling he was holding his Keyblade over Princess Aurora. The glow from it was drawn into her chest, and before he knew it, a wondrous radiance was rising up from it. Princess Aurora's heart. Was this the heart of a pure light, unclouded by a speck of darkness? The brilliant orb arced directly toward Maleficent's hand, where it was consumed in a green blaze. "Here it is, just what I've waited for. To think all that he spoke of was and will be true." Maleficent chuckled, and Terra returned to his senses. His head was heavy. Everything hurt. He felt sick. What? How did I... Before him was Princess Aurora, but he could no longer perceive the light within her from moments ago. Terra wheeled around on Maleficent. "What did I do?" he shouted. "What did you do?" "You speak as if I pulled some invisible strings. No, you couldn't be farther from the truth, child. I simply whispered to the darkness you already held inside." "How could I do this?" Princess Aurora's sleeping form atop the bed reminded him of Ven when he was asleep for so long. Terra had even started wondering if he would ever wake up at all, though such a thing shouldn't be possible.
Yes, now you want to know where Xehanort went. Well, that I cannot answer. He disappeared into the darkness.
As Maleficent explained, Terra fixed her with a glare.
But now I know the Keyblade is necessary to gather hearts. Join me. Collect 6 more hearts of pure light. Then we will rule all worlds together.
Maleficent's green blaze rose yet again. However, Terra had no intention of doing her bidding a second time.
You seem to be mixed up. I'm a peacekeeper, not a tyrant,
he shouted, bringing his Keyblade to bear once more. He was about to challenge Maleficent to battle when the castle rumbled.
For a peacekeeper, you're off to an exceptionally poor start.
Maleficent's viridescent flame swirled around her.
Remember this. The darkness in your heart cannot be held back by force or strength. Now, my work here is done, as is yours. Wasn't there someone you needed to chase?
Wait! Terra swung his Keyblade at Maleficent as she vanished with a cackle. Unfortunately, he was a breath too late. The only ones left in the room were Terra and the princess. He looked at Princess Aurora where she lay asleep on the bed. Her light had been stolen thanks to the weakness of his own heart. No amount of regret would ever be enough. But Terra spoke to Princess Aurora.
It's my fault your light was stolen. It was because I was weak. I'm sorry. I'll get your light back once I learn to stand up against the darkness.
And with that, Terra left the room to defeat the Unversed. The strength to overcome the darkness. Could he truly obtain such a thing? Terra worried his lip as he did away with the Unversed. What had Master Xehanort spoken to Maleficent about in this world? If he was the one who imprisoned the light of Princess Aurora's heart, then why had he allowed Terra to do what he did? Would Terra discover his true intent if he sought out the hearts of pure light? Would Terra be controlled by the darkness on the other worlds he visited too? Would the darkness overtake him once more? The battle raging in his soul was perhaps more important than his conflict with the Unversed. After the monsters fell and he left the castle, Terra stood on the long bridge and looked to the sky. There was no time to hesitate. He had to be on his way. Terra dashed off toward a new world. Maleficent watched Terra from above as he departed the castle.
7 pure hearts, each completely void of heartless. Such a search may take some time.
Maleficent grinned. Manipulating hearts vulnerable to the darkness was nothing for her. Even if Terra did win out over his own corruption, another teetering on the brink between light and dark would come along soon enough. Cloaking herself in green flames, Maleficent vanished. Ventus arrived inside a huge castle. Still no sign of Terra. He'd been to 2 worlds so far, and he hadn't found Terra on either one. Ven sighed as he trudged down a corridor laid with magnificent embroidered rugs. Despite inspecting each room as he went along, Ven never found anyone at all, much less Terra. What he did find with surprisingly regularity were the Unversed. Had they done away with all the keep's inhabitants? Ven worked his way deeper into the castle, taking out Unversed along the way. One more chamber and he would be done with this floor. He opened the door of the room at the end of the hallway to find a large bed with a very beautiful woman asleep on top of it. It was great to finally find another human and all, but what was the point if she was out cold? Would she get mad if he woke her up? "Stop! You get away from her!" A woman's voice sharply called, causing Ven to turn around in a panic. There were 3 ladies standing, well, floating there. One was dressed in red, one in blue, and the last in green. And all 3 had a pair of small wings sprouting from their backs and small stick-like wands in their hands. Maybe they weren't ladies at all, but fairies? "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, I've never seen anyone so beautiful." "Who are you?" The fairy dressed in red, Flora, fluttered in a circle around Ven. "I'm Ventus, but you can call me Ven." "Oh, you don't seem bad, dear. I'm certain you have a pure heart, just like our precious Aurora," said the fairy in green, Fauna. "Can you tell me why she's sleeping?" Ventus inquired. "Long ago, Maleficent cursed her. Now she's stolen her heart," replied the fairy wearing blue, Merryweather. A princess, a witch, and fairies. It sounded like something out of a storybook. Ven fell into thought. He did have to look for Terra, but of course he was going to help anyone in distress that he met. Well then, why don't I go get it back for her? He offered. The fairies exchanged sad glances. That's impossible, dear. Maleficent's home is at the Forbidden Mountain. It's not safe. Fauna explained in a defeated tone. I'm not afraid. We can't just leave Aurora like this. I can help. You gotta believe me. Come on, let's go get her heart. The fairies listened to Ven's words apprehensively, but then Flora spoke as if she'd made up her mind. You know, you're absolutely right. The Forbidden Mountain is through the forest. Come along, follow us. Yes, I agree. We were so frightened on our own, but if you're with us, Fauna added, and Ven gave an enthusiastic nod. Leave it to me! Ven walked along the stone-hewn bridge from the castle with the fairies in tow. Where is everyone?
The people and animals near the castle are asleep,
Flora explained.
It's all because of Maleficent.
This Maleficent sounds like a real troublemaker. Ven stopped and crossed his arms. Now that he thought about it, hadn't he been asleep for a long time too? Or was that a dream? The memory felt almost like a dream within a dream. If only she hadn't placed that curse all those years ago. Fauna clenched her wand and lowered her gaze.
No use dwelling on the past,
Flora rebuked her. A curse? Did Maleficent's curse take Aurora's heart? Ven didn't know what the fairies were talking about. Wasn't Aurora asleep because she had been robbed of her heart?
No, dear, to tell the truth, she should only be in a deep slumber. But her heart's been stolen too,
Flora and then Merryweather elaborated. And so poor Aurora will only wake by true love's first kiss. Fauna wiped away tears as she spoke. Maleficent was never able to steal hearts before, Fauna mused. I don't know how she learned to do it.
Maybe she got help from those monsters prowling around,
Merryweather replied.
Monsters? Do you mean the unversed?
Ven said. Oh, is that what they're called? They were in the castle too, weren't they? Oh, how terrifying, Fauna shuddered. The unversed aided Maleficent? Could they even do that? What if she got help from someone else? There was still so much that they didn't know, and yet...
Let me deal with the unversed. We need to get Princess Aurora's heart back, right?
Ven grinned, gripping his keyblade.
Yes, I'm sure you'll be a great help. The Forbidden Mountain is on the other side of the forest.
Flora led the way. Ven and the other two fairies followed after her. Outside the woodlands was a precarious crag, and beyond it loomed a sinister keep. This is Maleficent's fortress. Oh, how frightening! Fauna and Merryweather shivered at the very sight of the castle and huddled close to each other.
Come, let's be on our way,
Flora urged. Ven nodded, and they climbed the hill and rushed inside the gates. The interior of the fortress was dimly lit and stank somewhat of bloodshed, and while they had expected it to be full of unversed...
Oh, Maleficent's little stooges are everywhere!
Merryweather cried out. There were no unversed to be found. Rather, there were throngs of bird people with bows and porcine-faced demi-humans wielding spears.
I'll take care of them!
Ven shouted and rushed off to scatter Maleficent's minions. Actually, the fairies had suggested Maleficent was receiving help from the unversed, but there weren't any unversed in the castle. If so, wouldn't that mean that she wasn't calling on their strength? Or maybe she didn't want them in her bastion? More questions he couldn't wrap his head around. Who would lend Maleficent their power? It must be this way! The deeper they delved into the fortress, the more labyrinthine it became. Ven plunged ahead with the fairies guiding the way.
It's Aurora's heart!
Flora cried out, pointing at a bright orb in the courtyard. Even wreathed in an unnerving green glow, it still shone beautifully. Ven rushed up alongside the fairies and peered at the light. Princess Aurora's heart radiated with an exceptional dignity and comforting energy, even in the murky confines of the fortress. How do we get it back? Fauna fluttered around Princess Aurora's heart in bewilderment.
I bet we just need my keyblade.
If there was a seal, a keyblade should be able to take care of it. and then we can free her heart." Nodding at Merryweather, Ven held his keyblade up to Aurora's heart. As he did, the weapon flashed with a clear gleam much like that of the heart itself. The wicked green shroud dissipated, and Princess Aurora's heart floated softly upward. "That should undo the curse." As Ven quietly spoke to himself, Princess Aurora's heart glowed especially bright. In the forest, a man was speaking gently to a frightened Princess Aurora.
"Don't you remember? We've met before."
We have?"
"Why, of course. You said so yourself, once upon a dream."
Princess Aurora beamed brightly at those words. The two of them drew closer to each other. "I never thought I would meet you, outside of my dreams, that is," she whispered ecstatically.
"Who are you? What's your name?"
Princess Aurora shook her head at the man's questions, then pulled away as if to flee. Oh, my name. Why, it's... Oh no, I can't." She turned away and started to run. "Goodbye!" But the man caught hold of her hand.
"I must see you."
"I don't know. Maybe someday." Princess Aurora lowered her gaze and shook her head.
"When? Tomorrow?"
"Oh no, this evening, at the cottage, in the glen." With that, Princess Aurora dashed into the woods and out of sight. The radiance subsided, then tilted his head quizzically, blinking a few times. What in the world? What was that? He wondered.
"Aurora's memory. She must have gotten her heart back,"
Flora answered. Princess Aurora's dream. The princess had glowed with happiness when the man from her dreams had reunited with her in the real world. "So her dream came true," Ven whispered. As he did, a kindly smile appeared on Flora's face.
"Yes, not long ago. Dreams are very strong beliefs. Aurora's led to her true love."
"Strong beliefs? So if you wish for your dream fervently enough, it'll come true? Then..." "I see you hold strong beliefs too, don't you, dear?" Fauna said. "Yup," Ven nodded. Powerful feelings and strong beliefs. They were the power to make dreams into reality.
"You also have a strong light,"
Flora added, still smiling. The vivid radiance of Princess Aurora's heart must have been the strength of her belief. "All right, hurry, we can't stay here." As Ven pondered all this, Merryweather urged them to go, relieved. "I guess so." But just then, a frightening voice boomed out.
"Someone has released Aurora's heart. Tell me, child, was it you?"
"Maleficent!" the fairies cried, then turned around to see a witch in a long black cloak. "Only 'cause you stole it in the first place!" Readying his keyblade, Ven rushed at Maleficent. However, with not a second to spare, she wrapped herself in green flames and teleported away. She sneered down at Ven from atop the stone steps.
"A keyblade? You must be Ventus."
"Huh? How do you know about me? And the keyblade?" How would someone from this world recognize Ven before he'd even identified himself?
"My powers ensure I know of the key to bringing me hearts. Terra gave me a demonstration."
Maleficent had an unnerving smile on her face as she spoke. "Terra? He was here?"
"Why, yes. In fact, it was he who stole Princess Aurora's heart."
It was as though someone had reached into his chest and squeezed his heart. Ven couldn't breathe for a moment. Terra stole Aurora's heart? "That's a lie!" Shouting, Ven readied his keyblade once more. Terra would never do something like that, not in a million years. Maleficent had to be lying.
"I was asked to leave you unharmed, but it seems I have no choice."
Sickly fire roared up around Maleficent's body and lashed at Ven. Aqua landed in a location with a commanding view of a gigantic fortress beyond an eerie crag. The air felt slightly cold to the skin. Will I see Terra again in this world? Hopefully Ven's here too. Aqua took a look around her, and a beautiful light flashed from the mysterious castle. What's that? Though small, its radiance was strong. That light. It was distant and hard to tell, but there was probably something special about it. Perhaps there was something to be found in that keep. That was what her intuition told her. If there were trouble, Terra and Ven wouldn't be far behind. Aqua started walking toward the fortress. She was concerned for both of them. Terra would probably laugh off her uneasiness, while Ven would tease her for worrying so much. But Master Ericus was never wrong. Something had been wrong with Terra during the exam, no question, but when she ran into him in Cinderella's realm, he was the Terra she knew so well. She had the feeling a day would soon come when she could report to Master Ericus that his misgivings were baseless, so why was she still anxious? And then there was Ven. He was still just a kid, and that had to be why Master Ericus said to bring him back. Aqua was also concerned for him, although she completely understood why he wanted to leave. Ven had to have a hard time being stuck at home alone. Aqua's strides brought her to a great castle. As its exterior would suggest, it was filled with an ominous air. Its ramparts were collapsed in places, and inside were not unversed, but rather ghastly monsters, like anthropomorphized birds and swine. They weren't much of a threat. Aqua defeated the beasts as she proceeded into the fortress. At that moment, she heard a shout. "Terra didn't steal anyone's heart! There's no way Terra would hurt somebody like that!" What? Terra stole a heart? And is that Ven? Aqua hurried toward the voice in the courtyard. There she found Ven in a standoff against a woman pressing her chest in pain. Maleficent.
"You don't believe me? That's unfortunate, for he agreed so easily,"
Maleficent declared.
"He did?"
Ven looked down and shook his head. His expression was clearly unsure. Ven was doubting Terra? That was crazy. "Ven, don't be fooled!" Aqua cried out. "Aqua!" A hint of joy lit in Ven's eyes as he looked back toward her. "Terra would never do that. You know that as well as I do." "Yeah!" Ven nodded with a smile. She was right. Terra couldn't do something so terrible.
"Ah, the truth can be most cruel, even amongst the closest of friends. After all, one never knows the secrets of another's heart. I'm sure you will agree, Ventus, Aqua."
Aqua had no intention of paying heed to any of Maleficent's melodramatic blathering. Ignoring her, Aqua spoke to Ven. "The master sent me. Ven, let's go home." She took Ven's arm. Though they'd only been apart for a short time, Ven had grown stronger. She could tell. "But Terra?" Ven asked, seeming troubled. "Terra's not ready to leave yet." Ven lowered his head as he considered Aqua's words for a moment, then shook his head. "Sorry, Aqua, but I can't go with you." He slowly removed her hand. "It's just, I have to find him before it's too late." Ven then turned away from her and ran off. "Ven!" Aqua moved to pursue him as he left the room, but a voice halted her in her tracks.
"I see you too wield a keyblade."
Stopping, Aqua summoned her keyblade and turned around. "How do you know about the keyblade?" She held it up, bracing for a fight. Given the way she'd spoken to Ven and the dark power swirling around her body, there was no doubting that Aqua was dealing with a foe.
"A source of power, a key that opens the hearts of men, of entire worlds, and allows one to obtain anything and everything. Such a power I find most fascinating."
Something like a black stain crept across her chest at Maleficent's words. Terra couldn't have. He didn't really. She knew it was out of the question, so where were these doubts coming from?
"Yes. Now, my dear, would you like to assist me as well?"
Maleficent's query cleared her suspicions in an instant. Terra would never help someone who talked like this. With a single deep breath, Aqua brought her keyblade up again. "Never."
"I see. Xehanort was right. You are a most stubborn girl."
Maleficent chuckled. "Master Xehanort? How do you—" Who was this person? Aqua took a moment to review what she knew. She's from another world, but she knows about keyblades, about us, about Master Xehanort.
"It seems you need time to consider my offer. Fortunately, I have the perfect place."
Aqua left herself vulnerable only for a moment. A hole opened at her feet the instant Maleficent stuck her staff against the floor, and the darkness swallowed Aqua as she fell. Aqua managed to right herself in midair before landing on the stone floor. What a trap to fall for. She briefly scolded herself, but there was no time for that. Looking up, she took in her surroundings. This appeared to be a dungeon. Straining her eyes in the gloom, she found a young man in chains several yards away. His features and clothing created a very noble image.
"Who are you?"
the youth asked her. "My name is Aqua. It looks like I was caught in a trap." As she stepped toward him, it was her turn to ask a question. "Why are you here?"
to prevent me from breaking her evil curse. My name is Philip. I was to meet the most beautiful girl at a cottage in the glen, but now my true love lies in an eternal slumber, and only I can break the spell."
The earnest look in his eyes conveyed his feelings for the princess. She knew what that meant. "You must really love her," Aqua said. Philip nodded. "Is what you said true?" A group of fairies had appeared, and the one in red, Flora, had asked Philip the question.
"Yes, Maleficent told me."
"Prince Philip, it's you!" Flora cried. It seemed the fairies and Philip were acquainted, and the noble comportment Aqua had sensed from him appeared to be literal. The fairy in green, Fauna, waved her wand and turned the chains binding Philip into light. "Now, Philip, the road to true love may be barred by many more dangers, which you alone will have to face," she warned. Philip nodded deeply, then wrapped himself in a cape. "I'm going with you. There's something I need to know, and Maleficent has the answer." Aqua took a step forward as she made her request. "Yes, of course, dear," Flora replied. "Now come along. We must hurry to Aurora." Aqua also nodded. "First, we need to escape the fortress. Let's go, Prince." Aqua summoned her Keyblade. "Okay." Philip drew his own sword and set out alongside Aqua. Doing away with any of Maleficent's goons they encountered in the fortress, Aqua and Philip made it outside. The path on the cliff led them to the forest, and they rushed through the woods to the castle where Princess Aurora slept.
"So, she's asleep in this castle."
"It's awfully quiet." Aqua stopped and commented to Philip as she took in the sight of the distant castle. Just then, black clouds began covering the blue sky.
"A forest of thorns shall be your tomb, wound round the castle in a bower of doom."
As Maleficent's voice thundered from afar, brambles wrapped around the bridge leading to the castle. It was then the witch revealed herself atop the bridge, surrounded by an aura of malevolent-colored flames. "Maleficent, what did Master Xehanort tell you?" Aqua shouted at Maleficent.
"Such a pity, child, that you don't have Terra's gift for obedience. Nor can you see how easy it was for him,"
Maleficent said with her staff in hand. "Terra would never do anything to help you," Aqua replied. Maleficent smiled thinly.
"Quite the contrary. He fully embraced the darkness within himself."
"Stop lying!" Terra wouldn't succumb to darkness. She wouldn't allow herself to be deceived by these lies. Aqua rushed at Maleficent, then lunged and brought down her Keyblade. But the new forest of thorny vines blocked her path.
"See for yourself all the powers of hell!"
Maleficent's characteristic blaze swallowed her as, raising both arms to the sky, she transformed into a colossal ebon dragon.
"She's a monster!"
Philip took up his shield and readied his sword, and he and Aqua hacked at Maleficent in turn. The green fire from Maleficent's draconic mouth scorched the tips of Aqua's hair. Meanwhile, the brambles were also coming after them. "Prince Philip!"
"I'm fine."
With the flames in their path, they couldn't easily get near.
"Don't worry about me. Over here."
"Huh?" Philip took Aqua by the hand and protected her from a jet of fire behind his shield. "Now!" Philip practically threw her into the air. Spinning as she fell, Aqua poured the whole force of her descent into a powerful blow to the dragon. Enraged, the dragon Maleficent screeched and thrashed her tail, flinging Aqua away. She barely landed safely. "Oh no!" Now that they had been separated, the dragon Maleficent was going after Philip. It was at that moment that Flora's voice rang out. "Sword of truth, fly swift and sure, that evil die and good endure." The three fairies cast a spell on Philip together, which turned to light and enveloped his blade.
"Begone!"
The prince hurled his sword at the dragon Maleficent. The blade struck true. She roared in a dying scream, and her emerald blaze engulfed her, while the spiked vines withered away. At long last, the wickedness was gone from this world, its only trace a small green flame. The skies cleared, and the castle returned to its former appearance. "Hurry, Philip," Fauna urged. Philip nodded, and then to Aqua he said,
"Thank you."
He dashed toward the castle. After watching him go, Aqua approached the tiny flicker. A battered Maleficent appeared from it, now back in her human form.
"It's the power of true love that defeated you."
Aqua proudly declared, keyblade in hand. Maleficent rose to her feet unsteadily.
I will not be defeated by something as insignificant as love.
She refused to admit her defeat, breathing feebly. You don't even know the first thing about it. You're too clouded by darkness to see that there's something greater. Replete with confidence, Aqua turned toward the castle. Meanwhile, inside the keep, Philip knelt beside the sleeping Princess Aurora and kissed her gently. The princess's eyes fluttered open. A kiss from her true love had lifted her curse. Aqua continued, "Try all you want, but you'll never defeat a heart filled with light." However, the green flames enwrapping Maleficent's body were beginning to wax one more.
Perhaps, but remember one thing. As long as there is light, there will be darkness, and in time, many more will be drawn to it. Then they will all belong to me.
With those parting words, Maleficent lifted her arms to the sky and cackled. "No!" Aqua moved to strike down Maleficent, but the witch vanished as her body was engulfed in an emerald blaze. All that remained was Aqua herself. Lowering her keyblade, she looked at the flagstones of the bridge and called the name of her dear friend. Terra. Why was she so uneasy? She had faith in him, or she wanted to. "You better stay strong for me." Aqua's whisper was too quiet for anyone else to hear.